Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 Stormwater Management Seminar. As Mike mentioned, I'm Cleon Cauley. I'm the General Manager of Public Works here in Newcastle County. You're here because, like me, you know the importance of managing stormwater, and you know it can't be done alone. It is absolutely a team effort. That is why your participation in the seminar is so important, and why after 18 years, the seminar or seminars like this are still so relevant. Thank you to my friend and colleague, Mike Harris, as well as his team and their leadership in making this possible, as well as the presenters today, including our colleagues from Public Works, as well as DENREC. I know our county executive wanted to be here this evening. Just wanted to give a special thanks to him as well for being the ultimate team player and making sure all this is possible. With that, I'll give it back to my friend and colleague, Mike Harris. And I'm seeing Ellie pop up, so I'm handing it off to you, Ellie.
Thank you very much, GM Cauley. I would, I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, that's very good. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our 18th Stormwater Seminar for residential communities. Today was the perfect day as a rainy day. Usually, as long as I remember, almost every year that we had our seminar on that specific day, we had the storm and it was raining all day. So I guess it's meant to be. But anyhow, I'm welcoming you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ellie Mortazavi, Environmental Program Manager 3 for Department of Public Works, Stormwater Environmental Programs Division. Tonight, I would like to give you a quick update about our newest stormwater maintenance program, which I'm sure most of you, maybe all of you have heard and or familiar with the program. This is one of our newest maintenance program that the communities can take advantage and joining into the program. But before going through the updates, I would like to touch up on some of the program highlights first. As you might be aware, Newcastle County Council approved this program back on January 11th, 2022. And as part of this program, Public Works take care of and perform all the minor maintenance to the stormwater management facilities. Minor maintenance including mowing, controlling invasive vegetation as well as aquatic vegetation like algae, debris and trash removal, minor sediment removal, everything that is qualified under minor maintenance will be on the county responsibility to perform. The thing about this program, once you are in, you cannot be removed from the program. We love you so much. When we have you, we are not going to let you go. This program doesn't mean that the change it to major maintenance responsibility. It would be still same because we also have stormwater, one of the older maintenance program that we have. It's the stormwater maintenance program, or as known as amnesty program, that county was, if the maintenance corporation were performing their minor maintenance and registered with the county will perform major maintenance. That is still in effect. Joining into this program doesn't mean that the other program will go away. Maintenance organization is still, if they opt into this program, they will be responsible for maintaining the entire open space area out of the stormwater facility. For example, all the common areas, playground, mowing the open space, anything that they have in their common areas will be still the responsibility for maintaining that areas except the stormwater management facility. this is, of course, a volunteering program for the existing communities. What are the process in order to join in? A maintenance organization submit a letter of intent to our office. The letter of intent must include copies of bylaws and maintenance declaration, and they can be submitted to our office throughout the year. However, the petition period is from July 1st through September 30th. When we receive the letter of intent, our section will send out a letter to the board members of that community, acknowledging that we received a letter of intent, and also with the explanation of the process of how to join into the program. At the same time, we review the inspection reports, our annual inspection reports for such facilities in that community, and make sure that there are up to the standard, they are maintained, and there is no minor or major deficiency that needed to be corrected, and make sure that the community is eligible. And then the other thing that we have to do at the same time is doing the calculation for the stormwater maintenance fee to see how much would be the fee for each homeowner to pay if they decided to come into the program. Process will be continued if the maintenance organization or homeowner association is eligible. Then we create a petition. Petition includes maintenance, a copy of the maintenance plan, a copy of the record plan, and also maps of the areas that are included into maintenance of this maintenance program for such community, as well as the fees. We also offer public meeting. If the community, the homeowner association would like to have a public meeting before finalizing and joining to the program, we'll definitely provide and will be available to attend. And then after they receive the petition, residents, they vote. They vote according to the bylaws. For example, if the majority would be 75% in the bylaws, 75% of the residents should vote yes in order to be able to join into the program. If petition passes, then council will provide the final approval by an ordinance. And then we execute a new stormwater maintenance agreement. And generally, the maintenance starts January 1st of the following year. Some of the communities are basically they are not qualified to join into the program. For example, if they do have outstanding deficiencies per our inspection reports, if they haven't maintained their facilities. Of course, there are conditional approval. One is if maintenance organization, before they coming into the program, they can also address their any existing deficiencies and then bring up their facility to our standards as far as their condition. And then at the same time, the other option would be that our department addresses the deficiencies and charge an extra fee, one-time fee for correcting all the existing deficiencies before we take over the maintenance, regular maintenance of those facilities. So, and usually those costs are included into the first year of the stormwater maintenance fee. And in such cases, most likely the process will be delayed for acceptance of these facilities until such major work has been completed. Some of the updates about the program statistics so far. As of today, we have had 26 communities who submitted their letter of intent. 7 communities successfully petitioned to enter the program. Average cost for those 7 communities, of course, every community is different. They do have a different number of stormwater management facilities. Average cost for those 7 communities for the first year was $187.87 for the first year and $129.15 for the second year. And the question, I'm sure it would be why the first year would be more expensive than the second year, because the first year covers the 18 months of the service, while the second year only covers 12 months. For the calendar year 2024 communities in our program, we had 5 that are listed here. For the calendar year 2025, we have 1 that they were able to come into the program. And then for this coming calendar year, starting January 1st, Community The Oaks, they are in our program. And we are going to have our vendors and contractors to start maintaining their stormwater management facilities. And we have 1 community so far that they are still into the process. And we are doing the calculation in order to come up with a stormwater maintenance fee, and we are going to send it along with the other paperwork back to the community to see if they are going to petition in. New communities that their record plan were approved, recorded after January 13th, 2022. Those communities, no matter what, they are automatically they are in the program. So for them, which this is the basically the updated list for such communities. They don't have to go through that process that I just explained. They are automatically into our program, and we start maintaining once their open space passed the inspection and were transferred to the homeowner association. County will step in and start maintaining, of course, with the fee that they are going to get charged every resident in those communities. That's what I had so far. And again, I thank every one of you for what you do and also for joining us tonight. As Mike mentioned, we have a Q&A session at the end. You can bring up any question, ask any question, or also put it in the chat. And we are going to be more than glad to respond back and send you any requests or any additional documents or answer your question. Thank you. And now I'm going to turn it over to Sara Esposito. She's the NPDES manager at DelDOT. Sara?
Hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Ellie, and all of Newcastle County for allowing me to present today. DelDOT is a partner with Newcastle County on our stormwater permit that requires us to do a lot of these public education and good things for the world of stormwater. So happy to be here, and let me share my screen, and then we'll get started. Lord. All right. Hopefully that woke you up a little bit. Test those speakers. But I am going to go over who to call within DelDOT with some questions that might arise for you or your community. Kind of a little bit of a step back from just stormwater specifically and look a little bit more about DelDOT as a whole. And Wally here will be helping me along the way. So DelDOT's pretty big and we have multiple divisions. We're going to start in maintenance and operations, or M&O. and talk about our North and Canal maintenance districts. Those are the two districts that handle all of Newcastle County. We have two other maintenance districts, Central and South, that handle the southern part of the state. We'll also talk about our statewide support services section that houses the NPDES Stormwater Program, which is the program that I'm in, as well as our CTF, or Community Transportation Fund. We'll touch on our snow reimbursement program within business management. And then we'll also talk about our Division of Transportation Solutions and Community Relations. So getting started in maintenance and operations, our North District is the northernmost section of Delaware, fittingly, and it is broken down into two main areas that take care of all the roadways within that area by mowing, snow plowing, fixing potholes, picking up trash, etc. within that region. So we have area 11 in this purple here. That's our Kaimensi maintenance yard. They handle all that portion. And then our Tally maintenance yard, area 12, handles the upper northeast corner of Delaware. Oops. North District also has three other areas that handle specialty items, special projects, our expressways that handles 95, and then our building and bridges section. Here's the contact information for all these locations. You can take a picture, or as Mike mentioned, this presentation will be posted after the presentation. And then the southern part of Newcastle County is handled by our Canal District, and it is also broken into two subzones. Our Middletown Area 9 maintenance area handles that area in green below the canal, and then our Bear maintenance area handles that section shown there in orange above the canal. And similarly, they also have some specialty areas besides just the two roadway crews. And the contact information for those yards are also shown. But Wally's here to give you a public service announcement. Number one, that the maintenance yards are not DMVs or permitting offices. So although I showed the contact information and the locations, you really shouldn't need to call them or go to them. At the very end of the presentation, I'm going to give you the best phone number to contact that will kind of handle most of any concerns that you would have. Or public service announcement number two, you can use the DelDOT app to find out information that you might need. There's a bunch on there. Two of the ones that I've highlighted are report an issue, where you can alert us of trash, a pothole that needs to be fixed, any accident, any concern that you might have on the roadway, as well as our snow tracker app, where you can see if plows are going to be near your subdivision or your main roadway in the near future. So public service announcement number one mentioned that our area yards are not permitting offices, but we do have our Canal District headquarters that houses our Public Works section, and they do handle any entrance permit approvals. If you need to add a new entrance or modify an entrance, that would all be coordinated through that Public Works section. And Wally here's reminding us that location services all of Newcastle County. So before I mentioned how Newcastle County is broken up into North and Canal, but this canal, Public Works handles all of the county. Also within MNO, we have the NPDES program, which is the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, basically the counterparts to Mike and Ellie's group at the county. This is my section of DelDOT, and we handle all of DelDOT's ponds, our storm drain inlets and pipes, as well as provide public education. Our contact information is there, and my information will be at the end of the presentation. Number 3 is that not all storm drain infrastructure is DelDOT's. So DelDOT only maintains storm drain infrastructure that carries roadway runoff to the point of discharge at the end of the closed drainage system, basically at the end of the pipes. We do not maintain infrastructure upstream of the road, such as backyard runoff that did not originate from another DelDOT roadway. We do not maintain ditches or streams within subdivisions either, as these are downstream of the closed drainage system. And we also do not maintain stormwater ponds within subdivisions because they're also downstream of that closed drain system, and the county helps to oversee those systems. And caveat to all that would be, unless there's a specific agreement that states otherwise, there are a few subdivisions within the county that have shared use agreements where both the subdivision and DelDOT's water are both treated in that facility. So that would obviously supersede what I just mentioned. So if we look at an example, this is a DelDOT maintained subdivision road. And if we're looking at this area here, DelDOT would maintain the roadway infrastructure on Athlete Drive, as well as the rest of the roadways within that community. We would also maintain the pipes downstream of the roadway, as long as those pipes are in a drainage easement and they were there at the time of recordation. But we would not maintain the stream that's within the subdivision, as that is downstream of the end of the pipe. And we would also not maintain upstream of the roadway that is collecting the back of lot drainage, because it's not collecting any roadway runoff. And that's true even if that infrastructure was put in place at the time of the initial subdivision construction, and it's been there forever. Because it does not carry any DelDOT flow, we would not maintain it. If your community has such examples of pipe outside of DelDOT's maintenance purview, then one potential avenue for assistance if you have issues with that drainage could be the Newcastle Conservation District, and their information is shown there. Also within the NPDES program, we work hard to make sure that clean water is leaving our storm drain pipes. We inspect our outfalls and screen for pollution, and then if we find it, try to track it back and eliminate that pollution along with the county's assistance. Us in the county maintain this hotline, 302 Stop It, along with 302stopit.org as a website that you can utilize to report a water quality concern, whether it's dumping or severe erosion or anything concerned that pollution is affecting our stormwater. And we'll go out and investigate and try to coordinate a fix. Switching gears a little bit, but still within maintenance and operation, is our Community Transportation Fund, or the CTF program. That provides legislative funding for mostly for subdivision pavement work, or sidewalks, curbs, a little bit of drainage, but primarily subdivision paving. Entrance signs are another one that sometimes get funded. We have a new coordinator for that program. If your community has ever done work with the CTF program, it was previously Jerry Larson, and now it's Linda Eckert coordinating that. But an important reminder is that you must contact your state senator or House representative with initial requests. DelDOT cannot add any locations directly to the list. They have to be authorized by the legislature, and then after that approval, then we'll help coordinate the construction of those improvements. And lastly, within M&O is our snow removal and reimbursement program. If you or someone that you know has a plow and would like to sign up, we offer reimbursement for plowing subdivision roadways. That coordinator is Kelly Wilson, and her contact information is there along with the website. And switching outside of M&O into our Division of Transportation Solutions, those are the folks that design all of our roadway and bridge projects, maintenance projects, and initial construction projects. And then also they oversee the construction of all those projects. And because DelDOT owns approximately 90% of all the roadways within Delaware, there's a lot of projects that we design and construct. So you can log on to this website that's listed there, and a little screenshot of it shown here that shows the locations of projects that are under design, are out for bid, or under construction, or recently completed. You can also find all this similar information on the DelDOT app. That was one of the icons when I showed the app screen face earlier. You can click on any of these locations or in the list view, and it will bring up a page with more information on that project. And you can get all sorts of details, including some of the engineered design plans, which can be a little intense. Most projects also have the public workshop information that shows more conceptual renderings of what the project will look like at the end. The relations team works hard at spreading the DelDOT message and coordinating with the public. Their email address is shown there, dotpublic@delaware.gov. They also help coordinate the Adopt a Highway program. If you're a community or affiliated group that you might belong to is interested in adopting a highway, it's a great program, and we appreciate all the volunteers out there that help keep Delaware litter free. DelDOT also works hard at having a social media presence. We're on Facebook and a whole slew of other icons. I don't know what all these icons are. But we try to keep things informative, but also light where possible. I'm sure many of you have seen our signage, which again is also aimed at being informative, but keeping it light and funny. Which at one point we stole my slogan, "Who you gonna call?" And I'm going to tell you who to call. So the best number that you can remember and, potentially store in your phone, I have it stored in my phone, is our Transportation Management Center, or TMC. at 302-659-4600 or pound 77. That brings you to our 24-hour operations hotline. So it's always staffed, always able to take a call. And they take that information, that concern, and forward it to the appropriate person. So if you're calling about a pothole or trash on the road, or they'll, based on the roadway that you give them, they'll know what maintenance area to contact and then they'll contact them and dispatch a crew. So you don't have to remember, oh, I'm in, area 12 tallies zone. You just have to remember this phone number, tell them where the concern is, and they'll figure out who that concern needs to go to. Same thing happens with the DelDOT app, or on our website. You can also report an issue. All that information feeds to the TMC folks, and they then dispatch that concern as necessary. Now, our previous page had our community relations. They're still going to be helpful for more big picture concerns, like a new development that's going in that you might have concerns over, or other, larger conversation type topics. So they're still helpful for that, but for a specific concern, this TMC is your best point of contact to call. And so, in summary, who are you going to call? TMC. And what are you going to use? The DelDOT app. But real quick, there's more. I just want to give a quick little spiel about our Livable Lawns program that we help sponsor. It educates folks on completing a soil test, so you know what your soil needs. It's like getting your own blood work done, and then using those fertilizer recommendations so you're not over fertilizing your lawn, because that excess fertilizer just washes down into our storm drains. Likewise, we also sponsor, or we certify business professionals, and they follow livable lawn standards for performing lawn maintenance at your home. So you can log on and find which companies are certified and work with them to get your soil tested and lawn care performed. So you can scan that QR code, or just Google Delaware Livable Lawns and find more information about either doing it yourself soil test and fertilizer resources, or finding that certified commercial business. Just in general, we recommend conducting the soil test in the spring, and then typically you don't really need fertilizer until the fall. That's the best time to put it down, because that's when the plants are sending nutrients down to their roots. So it's really helping them grow into, a strong plant with strong roots. And then real quick, lastly, is our Pitch It, Don't Ditch It campaign for picking up dog waste. We have way more dogs in our society than nature would have normally provided, which means a lot of extra poop and bacteria that can get washed into our water bodies. So we educate to pick up that waste, and then also throw that bag out after you're done picking it up. We find a lot of collected poop bags in our storm drains and at our outfalls, heading into streams and ditches, from people picking them up and then dropping them into the storm drains. So important to throw it away after. So we have a campaign to help educate on that. And if your community has like dog stations, You can email for a free roll of bags per station, and we'll get those delivered to you. And yeah, that's all. So I want to thank you again for your time and for Newcastle County inviting me. And that's my contact information. If anyone has any questions, I'll be on for the rest of the time. And I'm turning things over to Julia Petrowsky to talk about their annual inspection program.
Hi, this is Bernadette Igo. I'll be
Oh,
presenting next.
okay,
And
I'm
it's
sorry.
That's okay.
You're
And it's
good.
confusing because I'm having technical difficulties with my laptop, so I'm using Julie's. But yeah,
Okay.
I just have a brief one to introduce Julie. Thanks, Sarah. Okay, share. Oops. Let's see. Actually, this is not the first slide. Here we go. So my name is Bernadette Igo. I'm the Environmental Program Manager for Newcastle County. I just want to briefly go over the inspection and maintenance for residential communities. First, I do want to introduce everyone who's in our group. You already heard from Mr. Mike Harris. He is our program division manager. Ellie Mortazavi, who is our environmental program manager 3. We have 3 environmental program managers. One, which include Carolyn Magnotti, myself, and Nate Carey, who deals in drainage. Our acting staff engineer is Julie Petrowsky, and then we have 3 full-time inspectors who are all certified construction reviewers. Julie Petrowsky, doing double duty, Bill Jones, Brian Allen, and then we do have an intern, Jean Giroux, and a confidential assistant, Becky Coleman. A little bit of background. Newcastle County is a delegated agency by DENREC to administer Delaware sediment and stormwater regulations. And that includes NPDES principal permittees with the DelDOT and 5 code permittees are Bellefonte, Ellesmere, Newport, Delaware City, and Newcastle. The permit elements require public education, public involvement, illicit discharge, detection and elimination, which Sarah did go over a little bit, stormwater construction, during construction with the Department of Land Use, post-construction, stormwater management inspection, BMP inspection, which is our group, good housekeeping, industrial stormwater, and watershed priority list. So what our stormwater management section does is we update the BMP inventory annually. We conduct the BMP's post-construction inspections annually. We perform open space inspections in new residential communities before they're turned over to the maintenance corporations. Register maintenance corporations and collect their maintenance logs. Maintain, prioritize the county's major stormwater project list. Manage the budget allocated for stormwater major projects. Oversee the residential major projects from bidding process and through their construction until they are complete. Post-construction BMP's inspection process. This is just the outline. So it first was with the Department of Land Use performs a plan review and approval. Construction is completed. As-built plan is approved by the Department of Land Use. Then the as-built plans will be sent to the Department of Public Works stormwater section, and then the stormwater facilities will be added to the county's BMP inventory. The 2025 BMP inventory. The total number of BMPs for 2025 is 2,955 facilities that we have and are just about complete inspection for this year. I think we have about 100 left to do. It's a mixture of BMPs such as residential and commercial and industrial sites. On-lot residential BMPs are exempt and not included in our inventory. All BMPs built pre-1991 are also included in our inventory. On average, between 80 to 100 BMPs are added to our inventory each year. Will be well over 3,000 for 2026. So once the inspections are completed by the inspectors, letters and inspection reports are sent by email to the president and board members of the homeowners associations or maintenance corporation with a timeline for performing necessary maintenance. Questions about inspection reports should be directed to the inspectors of Newcastle County Department of Public Works Stormwater Management section. After you receive the inspection report, obtain a copy of the operation and maintenance plan for the stormwater management facility of your site if available. Sometimes we do have older sites and it's hard to find the plans, but we do our best to have them available for you. Obtain a copy of the as-built plan as well as the landscape plan for those stormwater facilities if available. And then we do suggest to hire a professional contractor who's familiar with the type of work that is needed. Contractors list. Newcastle County Department of Public Works can supply a list of contractors who have done similar work on the stormwater management facilities. We have an extensive list of 2 to 3 pages. We recommend of obtaining at least 3 to 5 estimates since they do vary in price and experience. Excuse me. The Stormwater Maintenance Program for Residential Communities under Chapter 40 of the NCC Code. Maintenance organizations that register annually with the county and perform and document minor maintenance of their stormwater facilities are eligible for county assistance with major maintenance, subject to funds being available, even if the need for major maintenance is due to past failures to perform their minor maintenance. If it has been determined by Newcastle County that the facility needs major sediment removal or has structural component failures, such as deteriorating pipes, washed out berms and embankments, or separated flared end sections, then it will be added to the Newcastle County major list as part of the stormwater maintenance program. The mechanics of the program. We have approximately 340 residential maintenance corporations are registered with Newcastle County. Maintenance organization responsibilities, annual registration by January 31st of the following year, perform and document minor maintenance, inspect 2 times a year and after each major rainfall, submit maintenance and inspection logs by January 31st. Newcastle County responsibility are the annual post-construction inspections and major maintenance as needed. So what is considered major? So this is what we have seen over the years. And when it's major, when it starts failing, it goes quickly. So we have quite a few of them out there. And just show you some before and afters, pictures of major projects. The pond on same pond. This is a very old pond with a very old structure. And this was re-engineered and done a couple years ago at the cost of $240,000. Another older dry pond with an older corrugated metal pipe outlet structure, just completed last year at the cost of $100,000. A lot of questions come, why hasn't my community stormwater facility been fixed yet? It is a long process. The re-engineering, that the facilities that need re-engineering are redesigned by in-house engineers and can be redesigned by engineering consulting firms. And it does take an average of 1 to 3 years for this to be done. If it's reconstruction or structural repair, a lot of it is performed by Newcastle County Construction Support Group or performed by an outside contractor. This usually takes an average of 1 to 18 months. We do have emergency sites that we have to move up to the front of the list every now and then. As Sara went over briefly about the illicit discharge detection and elimination, if you see something, say something. Examples of IDDE would be dewatering chlorinated pools. If they're dewatering, emptying out the pools, they have to be dechlorinated first. If we see that happening, we do call for inspection there. Yard waste. We see a lot of this. We've reported it a lot this past year. Clippings from yards being blown into the street. That is an IDDE. Pouring chemicals or washing paint cans or paintbrushes down the drain. That is not allowed. Changing your car with oil. That has to be done professionally to capture the oil so it doesn't go in the streets and down the catch basins. And then sometimes contractors, extra concrete or paint goes down. And if you see any of this, please call how to report it. Water pollution's a crime. Don't stand for it, stop it. Which stop it is 302-786-7748 or write to the hotline at 302-STOP-IT. We're always here to answer any questions, small or large. You can call us. Each inspection report does have the inspector's name and number and email address. Call us anytime. If you have any questions, we're here to help, and we appreciate your cooperation in bringing the facilities into compliance. Thanks for your time. I'm going to now send you over to Julie.
Thank you, Bernadette. Okay, bear with me 1 minute while I pull my slides up. Okay, hello, I am Julie Petrowsky. I am a acting staff engineer and I supervise the stormwater inspections for the Newcastle County Department of Public Works. I'm going to go over our annual inspection process. When we say stormwater facilities, we're referring to ponds and best management practices, or BMPs, as Bernadette was saying. These areas are designed to manage the extra stormwater runoff we create when we develop natural land. So they help to manage the volume of stormwater, preventing flooding and erosion, and they also help to filter out pollutants as well. Now we'll get into different types of stormwater management facilities a little more in depth later in this presentation. Our stormwater management facilities are noted on our GIS map. Our facilities are grouped together by location, and each year our stormwater inspectors will be assigned to inspect facilities within a certain group or area. If you ever have trouble locating the stormwater management facilities within your community, please feel free to reach out to us and we can email you a map screenshot showing their locations. The approved plans and documents for each facility are scanned and uploaded into an online database, and hard copies are filed as well. The approved as-built plans and landscape plans for your facility will show how the facility is designed and tell you how it's required to be maintained. So it's very important that you have a copy of these plans and that you share them with your hired contractor so they understand exactly what needs to be done. If you can't locate the plans for your community, please feel free to reach out to us and we can email you a copy of them. The as-built plans show how the facility is designed and provides maintenance instructions. There's usually a section on the as-built plan noted as the operation and maintenance plan or the operation and maintenance schedule. This tells you what type of maintenance should be performed and how often. Per Newcastle County Code, the stormwater facilities must be maintained according to the approved design plan. So that means you are unable to make any changes to the facility that would alter it from that design. If you did want to make any changes, you would need to hire a professional engineer to red mark the as-built plan with those desired changes and submit that to my office for review. If we approve the red marked plan, then you would be permitted to proceed with those changes, but you must receive that approval from us first. The landscape plan shows any plantings that are supposed to be in place. You will see a plan view with symbols or abbreviations and a plant key, which tells you what they stand for. In this example, on the right side of the facility, you see that there are 10 VD. And when we look over at the plant key, we see that VD stands for Viburnum dentatum or arrowwood shrubs. So that's how you use the landscape plan to identify what type of plants are supposed to be in place and where. And unfortunately, no substitutions are permitted. Again, per Newcastle County Code, the facilities must be maintained according to the approved design. So if you wanted to make any substitutions or changes to the plantings, you would need to hire a registered landscape architect to red mark the landscape plan and submit that to my office for review and approval prior to making the changes. There's also usually a maintenance schedule on a section of the landscape plan. If you have bioswales that are supposed to be maintained at a certain height, this is where you would find that height requirement and mowing instructions. In this example, we see that the biofiltration areas or the bioswales within this community are supposed to be cut once per year to 12 inches in height in the early spring, and the clippings removed from the site. So that is where you would find that information on the maintenance schedule. We use a program called CityWorks for our asset management software. Through CityWorks, each facility in our inventory and each inspection report are tracked. Each facility is assigned a unique 5-digit ID number. Ponds begin with the number 1 and all BMPs begin with the number 2. We inspect each stormwater management facility at least once per year, and we will generate our annual inspection reports based on those inspections, and they will be sent out to the Maintenance Corporation. On the first page, the cover letter of your annual inspection report, we will identify the location of a unit ID of the facility. And in the bottom paragraph there, we will list the inspector's contact information, and we ask that you follow up by sending before and after photos of the corrected deficiencies. On the first page of the report, we will again identify the facility, we will list a brief summary of the inspection results, and we will list the number of days you have to comply. And again, we will list the inspector's contact information below our signature, and we again ask that you follow up by emailing us photos to show that the deficiencies have been corrected. As long as we can see that everything has been completed from the photos that you send, then we can mark you compliant based on that. So that is the fastest way to get you back into compliance, by emailing those photos to us. If you're unable to send photos for some reason, please reach out to us and let us know once the work is complete, and we can stop by and complete a reinspection the next time we're in that area. If you're unable to get the work done within the listed days to comply, that's okay. It's usually not a problem to grant an extension. Please reach out to us and formally request one. But the communication is the important part there. If we don't hear from you and we go back out to reinspect and we find that no work has been done, that's when our violation tracking process starts. So it is important to make sure you reach out to the inspector listed on your report and keep us in the loop. The inspection results go over everything we look at during our inspections. This should be used as a checklist to make sure that everything is followed up on. If any maintenance needs to be completed, we will describe what needs to be done in the comment section. So it's very important that your hired contractors have a copy of these inspection results, because they explain exactly what needs to be done. Also, I just want to confirm that only Newcastle County can confirm compliance and let you know that the work is complete, you're considered compliant. That decision is not up to your contractor or any other party, so you must receive that confirmation from us. We do take photos during our annual inspections. It's not possible to send those photos with every report we send out, unfortunately. But if you'd ever like to see the photos from your inspections, if you think that would help you identify the comments in the report, please feel free to reach out to the inspector listed in your report, and we'd be happy to send them to you at that time. If we don't hear from you after your annual inspection and we determine that the routine maintenance is not being completed, that is when our violation tracking process starts. So the first step is to issue a warning to let you know that if the necessary maintenance is not completed, then a notice of violation will be issued. If the work still is not completed after that warning, then we will issue the notice of violation. And that document will go over the specific maintenance responsibilities that are being violated according to Newcastle County Code Chapter 12, Section 6. So in other words, not completing the maintenance according to Newcastle County standards is a direct code violation, and that's what the notice of violation document will go over. Chapter 40, Section 27 of Newcastle County Code goes over the maintenance organizations and the stormwater maintenance program, as Bernadette discussed. And as Bernadette did mention, the community must keep up with the routine maintenance in order to be eligible for the stormwater maintenance program for Newcastle County to cover the major costly repairs. I did add a link at the bottom of the slide to Newcastle County's Code of Ordinances, but if anyone's interested in looking into that further, you can also just Google Newcastle County, Delaware Code of Ordinances, and it should be the first website that pops up. Getting into our actual inspections, during our inspections while on site, we will go over our checklist and observe each line item that's noted in the annual inspection report. First thing we look for is access. There should be a 10-foot wide access path maintained to the facility and to each structural component at all times. That way we can see everything that we need to see in order to complete a thorough inspection. We assess the condition of each structure. We look for signs of rusting or corrosion, any cracks or spalling, or any signs that the structures may be in failure or may be in need of repair. The inlet structures are where the water flows into the stormwater facility. They can be pipes or depressions or cuts in the curb. They will usually have a riprap lined forebay or a rock lined apron area that's designed to slow down stormwater and prevent erosion, and it helps to collect sediment and debris as it washes in with the stormwater. And those areas just need to be cleaned out on a routine basis. The outlets are where the water exits out of the stormwater facility. So inlet in, outlet out. Outlets can be a variety of different types of pipes or risers. A lot of the time they will have a trash rack on them. When we say trash rack, that is referring to a device, usually like a type of bar or grate, that's designed to prevent debris from washing into the structure. So in this example here, you can see this outlet structure has quite a few trash racks on it. So when we note in the reports to remove the minor debris from the trash racks, this is what we're referring to. The low flow structure is a device on or connecting to the outlet structure. It's where the lowest level of stormwater flows out of. It can be an orifice or an elbow fitting or a weir. These structures need to be cleaned on a routine basis to make sure that the facility is able to drain properly. If you have standing water in your facility for an extended period of time, or the water level in your pond is too high for an extended period of time, then most likely the low flow is blocked. So that should be the first thing that you check. Also, if the low flow does remain blocked for an extended period of time, that can put extra stress on the structure and it can contribute to structural failure. So please make sure your hired contractors are keeping an eye on this during their routine maintenance. The low flow channel, just as it sounds, is a channel that carries the lowest level of stormwater directly to the outlet structure. They are typically lined with concrete or stone, but they can be more natural, like an inline pond, which resembles like a small creek or stream. The low flow channels just need to have minor sediment, weeds, and debris removed from them on a routine basis to prevent blockages and to encourage a positive flow of water. We mentioned that inlets are where the water goes into the facility and outlets are where the water exits out. The outfall is the final discharge point of the stormwater or the area in which your facility drains to. And just like the other structures, the outfalls need to have minor sediment, weeds, and debris removed from them and need to have an access path kept to them. An emergency spillway is a low area on the side slope. So in the event of a severe storm, if your stormwater facility completely fills up with stormwater and tops over the outlet structure, it will spill over through that low area. They can sometimes be lined with riprap or rock, as with the picture on the right, or sometimes they're simply grassed, as with the picture on the left. We check them for signs of erosion or bare areas during our inspection, and we will also note to remove minor sediment, weeds, and debris as necessary. If you have an underdrain system in your stormwater facility, there will be a small pipe that runs horizontally below the surface. This pipe will assist with infiltration or it will drain to an outfall area. There will be monitoring wells or observation ports. Those are the plastic stick-up pipes. We use them to check the underdrain system to make sure it's functioning properly. So during our inspections, we will open the caps to the monitoring wells or ports. We will look inside. Sometimes we will insert a measuring stick to see if standing water is present or if there's any sediment building up in there. And if there is, then they may be required to be flushed or cleaned out at that time to alleviate any blockages. So if you do have monitoring wells within your facility, especially if it's a grassed area like a bioswale, please make sure that your mowers are aware of their locations. Unfortunately, a problem that we commonly see is that mowers will crash into them and break these plastic stick-up pipes. And unfortunately, if your mowers do break your monitoring wells, the community will be responsible for repairing or replacing them. So please make sure that you hire competent contractors and that you provide them with copies of the approved plans so that they can see where these structures are located. We look for animal burrows. Any holes or burrows will need to be filled in and compacted and any resulting sediment removed and the area stabilized. I do know that some animals can be persistent and continuously repairing the burrows can seem like a never-ending battle, but it is an important part of routine maintenance. It should be kept up with in order to keep the facilities in good condition and functioning properly. We look for bare areas or tire tracks. We will note to seed, mat, and stabilize them as necessary. They can lead to bigger issues such as erosion, so they do need to be repaired as they come up. We do recommend to have your mowers avoid mowing the ground when it's extremely saturated to try and avoid those tire tracks. Also, I'd like to point out in the photo on the right, the bare areas and that swale were caused by large clumps of grass clippings that were left laying behind, caused the grass beneath to die. So that's something else we should be mindful of. Large clippings should not be left behind in the stormwater management areas because that can happen. We also look for signs of erosion. Sometimes erosion can just occur if we have a lot of rain. The stormwater running over the ground can sometimes erode, and that just needs to be repaired as it happens. Sometimes erosion can be caused by a bigger issue, such as a structural failure. So that would be something that we would need to look into further and recommend repairs. I want to take a minute to emphasize that plastic netting is no longer permitted to be used in Delaware for stabilization. It's a hazard to wildlife. Birds and snakes and other wildlife frequently get caught in it. So if it is used at your community, you will be required to have it removed and done over with the appropriate biodegradable matting. Most contractors, all contractors, should be aware of this requirement, but unfortunately, we still see it being used a lot. So please make sure that your contractors are using the correct stuff. We look for sediment accumulation. That's probably the most common thing that you'll see noted in your annual inspection reports. It's very normal for sediment to wash into a stormwater facility and with the stormwater runoff, and it just needs to be cleaned on a routine basis. So usually we will note, remove the minor sediment / vegetation / debris, because where there's one, there's usually the others, especially in these riprap line 4-bay areas or this rock line 4-bay areas. So in the photos here, we have an example of an inlet structure and riprap line 4-bay before and after cleaning. So typically contractors will move the rocks and shovel out the sediment, weeds, and debris, and then they will replace the clean rocks back into the 4-bay area. So that after picture on the right is the end result that we're looking for, those clean rocks. A lot of the time, riprap line 4-bays like this one, they will have a type of geotextile fabric beneath the rocks. So that is something your contractors will need to be mindful of and be careful to not damage that while performing maintenance. We went over the landscape plan earlier in this presentation. So we check the condition of the vegetation while we're on site. If there are required plants that are supposed to be in place, we make sure that they are in place according to the plans. If there's a type of vegetation or grass that's supposed to be maintained at a certain height, we follow up on that. So please refer to your approved plans for any specific vegetation requirements. We also look for unwanted vegetation, any weeds or invasive vegetation, any young trees or woody vegetation. They will all need to be treated with an appropriate herbicide and then cut and removed from the site. This is something that should be kept up with on a routine basis. When the weeds get out of control, especially the invasive vegetation, it is very hard to get it back under control again, and it can get pretty expensive to treat when it gets really dense. So please make sure that your contractors are keeping up with the weeds and invasive vegetation on a routine basis. In Delaware, it is required to have a special license to apply aquatic herbicides. So make sure that your hired contractor is able to take care of that if it's something you see noted in your report. We do get a lot of questions about the use of herbicides and how safe they are for the natural environment. But as long as they're used appropriately and according to the manufacturer's specifications, they are deemed as safe. So if you have any specific questions about the types of herbicide to use for the weeds you may be experiencing at your facility, we recommend that you reach out to a contractor who has their aquatic herbicide license. Growing vegetative buffers around ponds can be very beneficial in a lot of ways. Even if having a buffer at your pond is not required, it's a great idea to consider establishing one. They assist with sediment and pollution control. They reduce the risk of erosion. They reduce the amount of nutrients that run into the pond, which can therefore reduce algae and other aquatic vegetation. And they also discourage geese activity. The geese like to have a clear path to get in and out of the pond, so establishing a buffer around a pond will make it less desirable to them. If you do decide to establish a buffer around your pond, you have to make sure that you maintain it to be free of invasive and woody vegetation. We usually recommend to mow them 1 to 2 times per year in the early spring and in the late fall to assist with that. And also, please make sure to maintain an access path to each structure. That's each inlet, outlet, outfall, emergency spillway. That way we can accurately complete our inspections. Getting into more detail about the types of stormwater facilities you will commonly see in residential communities within Newcastle County. Wet ponds or retention basins are ponds that have a permanent level of water in them at all times. Your approved as-built plans will tell you what the normal level is for the water to be at. If the water level is too high or too low for an extended period of time, then there may be a leak or a blockage or some type of issue that we need to look into further. Please make sure your contractors are checking your low flow devices on a routine basis, and that will help to make sure that the water level stays at its proper level. Dry ponds or detention basins are basins that are designed to fill up with stormwater, and they should be completely drained within 48 hours after the rain has stopped. If standing water remains longer than that, then there's most likely some kind of an issue. Again, please check your low flow devices to make sure there's no blockages. It is okay to let the grass vegetation grow taller in these dry ponds as long as it's maintained to be free of invasive and woody vegetation, and as long as you maintain access to each of the structures. Infiltration basins are designed for water to infiltrate or absorb into the ground. Sometimes they will have an outlet structure or an overflow structure, but the majority of the water is designed to infiltrate in these basins. Like dry ponds, they should be completely drained within 48 hours after the rain. Sometimes they are designed to have vegetation along the bottom. Sometimes they will have media like stone or sand along the bottom. But I want to emphasize that heavy machinery should never enter into an infiltration basin, and that includes push mowers. So any vegetation will need to be trimmed by hand, like with a weed whacker. Any heavy equipment going into these basins can compact the soil or the media along the bottom, and that can affect the infiltration rate of the stormwater. So it's very important that your contractors are aware of this requirement. Biofiltration swales are essentially drainage ditches that have specific types of grass and herbaceous vegetation installed within them. They are usually supposed to be maintained a little taller. Specific height requirements will be noted on your approved landscape plan. That's where you would check the maintenance schedule for those that grass height requirement. An issue that we commonly see is that a lot of mowers like to mow the private open space nice and short, and they want to keep going right through the bioswales and mow them flush with everything else. So please make sure that your mowers are aware of the boundaries of the stormwater management facilities and the height requirements within those areas. Some people will opt to install signs as a reminder, and sometimes that can be helpful. Grass filter strips, similar to bioswales, are supposed to be maintained a little taller, usually 6 inches or taller, but again, specific height requirements will be noted on your approved plans. The filter strips are designed to receive the initial runoff there as an initial treatment for the stormwater that runs directly off of a paved surface. They slow down and spread out that flow of water. Sometimes there will be a stone level spreader or a stone diaphragm alongside, and that is designed to collect sediment and debris as it washes off of the paved surface. And that just needs to be cleaned out on a routine basis, similar to the riprap line forebay areas. Constructed wetlands are man-made areas designed to mimic natural wetlands. They are great at filtering out pollutants, and they're beneficial to our natural ecosystem as well. They remain partially saturated year-round. There are very specific types of vegetation that are supposed to be in place in these constructed wetlands, and they require very specific maintenance to maintain that vegetation and to maintain these facilities to be free of invasive vegetation. It is hard to keep the invasive vegetation out of these constructed wetlands. So specific maintenance instructions will be noted on your approved plans. Again, we recommend that you hire a contractor who's familiar with working on these types of facilities. Constructed wetland maintenance may be a little out of the wheelhouse for most contractors, so please keep that in mind when you're hiring a contractor to maintain a constructed wetland. Bioretentions or rain gardens are basins designed to have specific plants or shrubs installed within them. The type, number, and placement of the required plants will be noted on the landscape plan. They usually require mulch, which helps to maintain the plants and reduce weeds. These basins should be drained within 48 hours after the rain. Inlet inserts are a type of filter bag or cartridge that sits inside of a catch basin drain. They are designed to trap and filter out dirt and debris, and they just need to be cleaned on a routine basis. So in the photos here, we have an example of what one looks like before and after cleaning. We don't have a ton of underground facilities within residential communities in Newcastle County, but there are a few. So I just wanted to touch on them really quickly. Underground facilities are a type of tank or storage chamber beneath the surface of the ground. Specific maintenance and inspection requirements are required with these facilities. So if you do happen to have one in your community, please make sure you hire a contractor who is familiar with working on those types of facilities. So that is it for my portion of this presentation. Thank you very much for taking the time to go over this with us. I know it's a lot of information to go through, but we really appreciate you taking the time to learn more about stormwater. I believe I am passing it along to Jason from here.
Yep, that's right. Thank you very much, Julie. Appreciate your time. So tonight we've been talking about stormwater. Mike allowed me to talk about something completely different, so we're going to change gears just a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about the wastewater system in Newcastle County. So like stormwater, the wastewater system is not something that a lot of people really know about or take time to think about what it does for people every day. In Newcastle County, which in the green there on the map on the right, that shows our entire service area. So that's where public sewer is generally available to everybody. In Newcastle County, it's everything except the city of Wilmington, Newark, and Middletown. They have their own wastewater systems and they maintain them separately. We do have what we call a separate system, so it is not combined with stormwater or any kind of drainage. It is sanitary sewer only. All of our activities like stormwater, they're also regulated by the state and federal agencies. And below there's some statistics about our system, about 1,850 miles of pipe that stretches roughly to the city of Denver, Colorado, just to give you an idea of how long that actually is. Over 47,000 maintenance or manholes where we can access the sewer. We have about 190 pump stations. So the gravity sewer, which is the majority of the system, flows from high ground to low ground. When it gets to low ground, you find a pump station that pumps it back over a hill just to continue the whole system. We do own and operate 3 wastewater treatment plants, one in Delaware City, one in Port Penn, and our largest treatment plant is just outside Odessa, Delaware. We have about 130,000 customer accounts. Most of them are residential, but we also have industrial and commercial users as well. This current year, which is fiscal year 26, we had an approved budget of $64 million in order to maintain all of these assets. And that little water drop there breaks down the average sewer bill and shows where your bill, if you are a sewer customer, what kind of activities the bill goes towards. So here's just a few of the different programs that we use to maintain the sewer system. We do a lot of preventative maintenance, which we're trying to prevent any kind of issues. So we perform regular cleaning and inspections of all the sewer assets, primarily through a TV camera that we put in the sewer pipes. Over the last few years, we've been using a technology that uses acoustics to actually inspect the sewer pipes based on sound waves and the results from that, from sending sound waves through the pipes. We can determine whether or not the pipe has some kind of clog or partial blockage, and that alerts us to that this is a pipe that needs to be cleaned. The technology is much less expensive than having to clean or TV a pipe, and it's also much quicker, so we're able to get to more of our system than we normally would. We do remote monitoring and regular visual inspections of all of our pump stations. And we have fog and roots treatment program, fog being fats, oils, and grease. And I'll talk about them a little bit later in my presentation. We do have to react to unexpected issues as well. We are operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with our dispatch office. So if you do have any issues, any time of the day, nights, weekends, holidays, we generally can respond within about 2 hours. We also have our own in-house construction crews that allows us typically to get to some more emergency repairs a little bit quicker than if we have to contract everything out. We do also monitor the flow within the sewer system. Currently, we have about 30 different monitoring stations that helps us keep track of trends in sewer flow, make sure there's no capacity issues, make sure the water in the pipe doesn't exceed that capacity within the pipe. So if we see a trend that tends to go up, it allows us to be more proactive rather than waiting for a sewer issue to happen. We also use them to make sure when we have new land development or new connections to our system that we won't overload the system. We review the proposed amount of sewer flow to get into the pipe and make sure the pipes are big enough to handle all of that flow. We also have a fairly extensive capital improvements program where we handle a lot of our repairs or rehabilitation projects, again, in a much more proactive way rather than just waiting for the sewer to fail. So those are some of the programs that we use. I wanted to talk a little bit more about, what your own wastewater management programs might be. Not a lot of people know that MC Hammer's hit "Can't Touch This" was actually originally a Public Works advertising campaign, and it was called "Can't Flush This." So the way you can help maintain our sewer system is simply by paying attention to what you flush down the toilet or what you might put down the sink drains. There's a lot of things that say they're flushable, like flushable wipes. They still cause issues in our sewer system, and so we would recommend not putting them down the drain. The number one cause of sewer issues is grease. So fats, oils, and grease from cooking, it really causes a lot of problems to the sewer system. And if they cause problems to our sewer system, they can certainly cause problems to your own sewer laterals. And what is often the case is people have issues with their laterals from dumping grease, fats, oils, and grease down their own sinks. So that's something that we certainly are asking everyone to avoid doing. The number two cause of issues in the sewer system are tree roots. It's amazing how tree roots really seek out any kind of source of water. So any cracks in a sewer pipe or a sewer lateral, roots find their way into the pipe. And then once the roots get into that source of water, it just grows and really proliferates. There's some pictures of tree roots that have grown inside sewer pipes. And again, if it grows in our system, they can certainly clog up your own lateral. So just a couple of tips and things to keep in mind. If you are going to plant trees or shrubs within your yard, it's good to know the location of your lateral. There is a call number if you're going to do any kind of digging. Miss Utility is who you have to contact. One thing to note, though, is Public Works only locates the connection within of where your house connects to the public sewer. It does not locate the entire lateral because that is a private asset that is under the responsibility of the homeowner. But it is good to know where that lateral is. You can hire a plumber to locate it for you. There are root barriers that you can install when you are putting in a tree or planting a tree or shrubbery that helps block the tree roots from getting into your sewer lateral. There's certainly varieties of bushes and trees that are smaller and slower growing, so there won't be as big of an issue with your lateral. Just like your car or like your HVAC system, we would recommend you hiring a plumber at some regular interval to do regular lateral inspections of your lateral. Most will, put a camera down your lateral to determine if there is any issues, and that can certainly prevent some issues if you don't do this kinds of inspections on a regular basis. If there are tree roots within your lateral, there are ways to remove it without damaging the tree. They can either be cut out, or some plumbers have a foam. We also use a foam that would kill some of the roots off and prevent them from regrowing, and it does not damage the tree. So just to also clarify something, another issue that our department runs into a lot is that homeowners and plumbers aren't sure who's responsible for what part of the lateral. So if you look at this diagram, you can see the property line there is on the left, and that property line could either denote a public right-of-way, like the street in front of your house, or it could be an easement that runs across your property. The portion of your lateral that's within that public easement or public right-of-way, Public Works will take care of any repairs or replacements that might need to happen. But that really is the only responsibility we have on your lateral within the public right-of-way. As you can see, if you do need to have your lateral cleaned, your plumber is responsible for cleaning from the house all the way to the sewer main, the public sewer pipe. A lot of plumbers stop right at the property line and tell property owners that they need to call Newcastle County to clean the rest of their lateral, and that's just not the case. Again, we respond to a lot of issues where a plumber comes and cleans only a portion of the lateral and they don't complete the cleaning. So then when we come and inspect, then we'll have to tell the property owner that they simply need to rehire their plumber to come and clean all the way to the main. So I wanted to make sure that part is clear for everybody. If you do have a slow or backed up drain, we would always recommend to call us first. Our phone number is 302-395-5700. That number is active 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with either our live dispatcher or we have a call service overnight. So we would recommend that you give us a call first before you call a plumber. What we will do is dispatch one of our sewer maintenance supervisors. They will first inspect our public sewer system just to make sure there's no issues with that. Obviously, if there's an issue with the public sewer system that's affecting your own service, we will take care of that issue with the public system. And then hopefully that'll restore your own service back to normal. If we inspect and there is no issue with our public sewer system, then we will advise the property owners to hire a licensed plumber to inspect and possibly clean the lateral. The plumber should clean the lateral all the way to the collector sewer. They should not stop at the property line. They should also remove all the roots. A lot of times plumbers might not have the right equipment or might not be able to stretch that length to get all the way through the lateral. So again, just want to make sure that everybody has the right information and they can ask the right questions of their plumber. And if you do have any questions, and we can dispatch our sewer maintenance supervisor again. They can meet the plumber. They can discuss what is found if there's any kind of question as to who's responsible to correct the issue that they found. So that is the end of my presentation. Now we'll get back to the regular scheduled programming, and I will turn it over to Carolyn. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jason. Good evening, everybody. I've been asked to just take a few moments to talk to you about the stormwater maintenance program. Some of you are very familiar with it. Thank you to those who have actually already started sending in your 2026 registrations as well as your 2025 logs. As Bernadette alluded to earlier, that is a part of the Stormwater Maintenance Program requirement in order for you to be eligible for major repairs and maintenance with the county. But I want to take just a minute to kind of talk to you a little bit about maintenance corporations in general, because a lot of times we have individuals who come in from other states, or you've lived in a community that was not a part of a maintenance corporation. Sometimes we get calls where, the corporation's not getting any type of cooperation from the community members. They don't understand why they have to pay this fee, what it's entailed, why they have to take care of it. So in accordance with County Code, Chapter 40, Article 27, anytime you're going to have some type of subdivision or land development, it has to be transferred to the maintenance organization. And so as a result, the developer creates a maintenance corporation at the time of plan recordation. And so then the maintenance responsibilities for all areas that are designated on the record plan as open space, common facilities, any type of private streets, drainage, those type of some people have tot lots, those type of things, if they're a part of the plan, they become a part of the responsibility of the maintenance corporation. And then a transfer of ownership happens after the open space and common facilities. Once they reach a certain percentage of build out, once we've determined that the open space is acceptable, it's then transferred to the maintenance corporation. And then that's where you start receiving things like inspection reports. You've heard a lot about inspection reports, maintenance. Up until the time of transfer, it's really the responsibility of the developer. But once it's been turned over, it becomes your baby. So in 2006, with the increase in development throughout Newcastle County, there were a number of residential corporations that number was increasing. And so Newcastle County soon recognized the fact that homeowners were going to be responsible for maintaining these stormwater management facilities, especially those with costly major repairs, right? So what happened was we came up with what was initially called the amnesty program. And so that said that if you signed up, if you maintained your facilities, we would come in and take care of those costly major repairs. Amnesty was because during that certain period, we were allowing corporations to come in that had never really been involved with Newcastle County before. But at some point, it turned over to what is now called the Stormwater Maintenance Program. And for those communities who meet the eligibility requirements, again, Newcastle County agrees to complete costly major repairs to your facilities when it's needed and when the funding becomes available. So what do you have to do to be eligible for the program? You have to complete your annual registration. And again, it is an annual process. Sometimes we get individuals to say, well, I've already done that. Well, sometimes board members change, sometimes property management companies change. And so again, we ask you to complete this on an annual basis. You're also supposed to perform all of your routine and minor maintenance. The reports that Julie talked about will identify those items that are your responsibility. And so we ask that you complete those in the time frame allotted. You also have to complete any minor maintenance or minor repairs, and you're going to submit an annual inspection and maintenance log. And again, some of you have already started to send those in, and we really appreciate that. So what about the registration? Well, we have some communities that are now participating in the Stormwater District program. Do you have to still register? Yes, because we like to maintain current contact information so that things like this webinar invite, they were emailed out. We have to have the current board member information in order to send those out to you. So again, you're registering annually because changes happen. Sometimes a board changes, sometimes the property management company changes. And in fact, on that note, a lot of times what will happen is a board will designate on their parcel the property manager as the contact. But what happens is when you do that, we don't have any way of contacting you outside of the property manager. And if your property manager changes, we can't get the reports to you or any type of educational materials, any contacts. So we really suggest that you keep your contact on your parcel to either a PO box if you're using one, or board member contact as opposed to a property manager. Because again, what happens is we don't have the current information, and sometimes we have maintenance corporations come back and say, well, I never received it. Well, if we don't have the current contact information, we can't get it into your hands. And it's always our desire to get these things into your hand because we don't want them to go so far where you're now looking at 2 and 3 years of maintenance and costly endeavors to get them into compliance. You receive annual inspection reports and seminar invites. Again, this is how we get this information into your hands. If there's a major project, if I have to reach out to you for a trespass agreement, or we want to let you know there's something going on in your community, we need that contact information that helps us keep you up to date. This is an example of what the registration form looks like. When you receive the seminar invite, there was a PDF attached to it, which you can complete and send in. But then there was also a link included where you can go online and complete that registration as well. And then let's talk a little bit about your maintenance requirements. You should perform routine inspections on your stormwater management facilities. You should inspect them a minimum of twice per year and following any major rainfall events that exceed 2 inches. You want to complete any routine maintenance, and a lot of this you've already heard, such as mowing and trash removal, removal of minor sediment. And you want to correct any deficiencies noted on the annual inspection report. If this is not done, then the maintenance corporation may no longer be eligible for assistance with major repairs. A notice of violation is issued. And then if we still don't get any resolve at that point, then letters might go out to the community advising them of our inability to get the issues addressed. That is really a last resort. We do not want to have to reach out to every community member to let them know that we haven't been able to get the repairs done and that there might be a chance of you not being covered for major repairs. We want you to know the Department of Public Works does desire to work with the board on addressing outstanding deficiencies, and as opposed to reaching out to that level where we have to reach out to the community. That's not our desire at all. I think Julie mentioned earlier, if you need an extension, please reach out to your inspector and we can grant extensions. If we have to develop a plan, we can develop plans. Whatever we need to do to protect you and to keep you in compliance, we are willing to work with you and do. So the logs, you're going to complete either a log for either a pond or a BMP or both if you have them. We do have some communities that have 24, 25 different facilities. And if that's the case, we do need a log for each facility. If you happen to have an underground facility, as Julie mentioned earlier, we do have a few that have underground facilities. You have to submit a separate underground log. These logs are due no later than January 31st for the previous calendar year. Logs can be completed, maintained, and submitted by either the designated stormwater coordinator, a board member, the contractor. It's up to you. Everybody's a little bit different on how they maintain it and submit it. We do just ask that you, instead of checking off every box, occasionally we get a log that has every box of every month checked. And things like cutting your embankment probably aren't happening in February. So that probably should be blank as opposed to checking off every box. This is an example of what the pond and BMP logs look like. Again, it's going to have the particular area. Did you note algae? Did you note trash? Is there erosion? And you're going to check off the things that you addressed during that time. This is an example of a fillable form, which again, I think I attached to the invite for the seminar. So if you're technically savvy and you're okay with filling out that fillable form and creating a PDF of it and sending it to me, then you're more than welcome to do that. We'll take it however you want to send it in by mail, email, fax. We will accept however it works for you. I've even had individuals take photos of them and send us a photo of the log. So that's all I have for you tonight. I want to thank you for all that you do for your community. And at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to our webinar host, Mike Harris.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you very much. We've had some questions throughout the night in our Q&A that we've answered, 10 questions. If you want to check and look at that, if that's of interest to you. But right now, we're going to start a Q&A session for live questions. If there's anybody that has a question in the audience and you'd like to ask your question live, please raise your hand and we'll put you on to talk. I see Deborah Williams raised her hand. I'm going to bear with me here. Okay, Deborah, I think you should be able to talk now if you'd like to ask your question.
I did click the unmute button.
I think we can barely hear you if you want to.
Let me try this. Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect. Yeah, very loud and clear.
Excellent. Yeah, I had to do a little maneuvering. My
Okay.
question is, what is the deadline for submitting request to be covered under the snow reimbursement program?
I think that might be a Sara question.
Okay.
Sara, do you want to take that?
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
The snow reimbursement program. I usually get a packet, and I remember getting such a packet. I remember that I haven't filled out it, and I don't know the deadline. I may have passed the deadline at this point.
Okay. I don't know that specifically. I was covering a, kind of big picture overview of DelDOT. Kelly, Kelly .Wilson, and I can type that into the question and answer. So
Okay.
Kelly.Wilson@delaware.gov would be the best person to email.
Okay, I'll find out.
Okay.
I haven't missed it. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I see we had two more questions in the chat. We're working on those. Mr. Zoppi raised his hand. Let me see if I can open it up for you. Okay, Mr. Zoppi, you're welcome to speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So great session, very helpful, a lot of terrific information here. I really appreciate you guys pulling this together. The question is, at a very high level, from the stormwater management perspective, it sounds like there really are two options. One is the maintenance corporation can kind of take on the annual registration, obviously, doing the maintenance logs, responding to the annual inspection report with, relatively minor types of repairs or remediations, and still be eligible for the county program for any major repairs. Or we can elect to essentially contract through the county, and the county would, in essence, take over all of that responsibility. And the homeowners, the maintenance corporation, really wouldn't do anything. We would pay the county to manage it, to address any type of and minor remediations, do all the inspections, obviously at a cost. Is that fair to say at a really high level summary in terms of the two options for communities?
Yes, that's a pretty accurate assessment. Yeah.
And
I
the
mean, no matter
cost.
which one
Okay.
no matter
Go ahead, I'm
which
sorry.
option you choose, the county, as long as you register with us annually and you do your minor maintenance, if you're in the option one you were talking about,
Right.
we'll still do
Right.
your major maintenance for you when the time comes. But with the stormwater districts program, yes, the county would take all that out of your hands, and you wouldn't have to deal with stormwater management any longer. You still have to maintain the rest of your open space. We wouldn't
Right.
do any
Right.
of that, but just the stormwater, yeah, we would take
And
care of.
and those costs, I know, I can't remember who gave the range, and I know these were averages, anywhere from $120 to $180 something. That's obviously per household, right? I'm assuming, and
Correct.
that's all depending upon. We have a relatively small community, so the fewer homes, you're taking a number, dividing it by the number of homes. If you have fewer homes, then it could be several $100s per homeowner, right? It's kind of a set fee. If we have a stormwater management facility and only 50 homes, and another community has 200, and the size of the stormwater maintenance facility is relatively the same, you're just dividing it by fewer households. Is that I understand that correctly?
Yes, that's accurate. Yeah, it's based on actual quotes. We get quotes for the maintenance. And I mean, there's another factor too. The newer communities have more stormwater management facilities generally than older communities. So if you're an older community that has like, the typical older community have one or two stormwater management ponds,
Yep.
that might be less expensive than a community that has a lot of green technology BMPs like bioretention areas and bioswales and that kind of thing. So that's a factor as well. But really the best way, I mean, there's no obligation or no downside really to filling in a letter of intent. It's a one-page form and we can do an estimate for you
Let's do an estimate. Okay.
to inform your decision. I mean, you're not on the hook or anything.
Right.
It could be good to get that information.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Very
Sure,
helpful.
yeah. Okay, we have another person, Mr. Osacharik. Let me find you here. There we go. I've got you unmuted if you want to ask your question. Robert, you're welcome to speak I think you're unmuted now.
Okay, it was a great presentation, and thank you all for it. How would I go about getting a hard copy of all of these presentations in one package? My purpose being to discuss it at general meetings and to perhaps give out good and accurate, updated information to anybody who asks.
Sure. Yeah, we are going to put all these presentations and we're recording tonight. All that will be on our website. We can send you the link. We can get you the link to that information to where that is. If I believe we should have your email address, but it'll be on the Public Works Newcastle County Public Works webpage under Stormwater Information for Maintenance Corporation's Resources.
Thank you. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Yeah, no problem. Any other takers? Mr. Morton. Okay. You're unmuted, Mr. Morton. We're ready to hear your question.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
This is specific to our community. We've been dealing with your departments as of recent. Who would be the specific person that I would contact to get more information regarding our community and joining the program with timelines and things like that? I wouldn't want to go over it in the general public forum, but who would be the best contact?
Ellie, do you want to answer that? Would that be Bernadette or Carolyn?
Yes.
Or you?
Excuse me, Ellie, it's Bernadette. He can contact me and during the office hours, and I can follow up with any information that he needs, since I did have a site meeting with Mr. Morton.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bernadette.
Sure.
Anybody else? I'm not seeing anybody. You can always follow up with us. You have our email addresses. The information again will be on the website probably by early next week. You have our email addresses. Reach out to us at any time. We're always happy to help. We appreciate everything you do. We know you're all volunteers, and kudos to you because that's a big responsibility, and I'm sure it's not one you get much praise and thanks for from your neighbor. So we appreciate it. We appreciate you, and we are here to help. So have a good evening. Thanks again for attending, and we will be in touch. Thank you.